Hey guys, dropping in for another math lesson. How's everyone doing today? You excited? All right, we're going to start this math lesson again with a couple of jokes that some of you viewers submitted. So the first one, again, is coming to us from John McKenzie. John goes to MEI Online School in Abbotsford. So here we go. The joke, what tool is best, I'm reading this upside down, best suited for math? Hold this up, Spencer. You can see it in the camera. You can see that? Multipliers. Pliers is a tool. Multipliers. Thanks, John. Second joke coming to you from Josie, who's also from MEI Online School. Why was the math book depressed? Why was the math book depressed? Spencer, hold that up for the camera. Because it had a lot of problems. It was depressed because it had problems. Thanks, Josie. All right. So as we move on today with another lesson on triangles, if you guys remember the word triangle, tri means, Spencer?
Free.
Tri means three and angle means angle. And actually this is more important today because we're going to be talking about angles. So I'll be telling you what an angle is. And then we'll talk about it. Thanks, Emmy. But a couple of other words that start with tri. Spencer, you want to hold that up? So Spencer drew this picture. So we have a picture of a triceratops. How many horns does a triceratops have?
3.
Very well done. And then Emmy drew this one. Triathlon. Triathlon, for those of you who don't know, has 3 events. Swimming, biking, running, triathlon. And our last picture is a trifold. Trifold, like a poster board like many of you use for your science fair project this year. Trifold. All right, so you guys ready? Let's do a little funny face for the camera. Are you guys ready to start the math lesson? Here we go. Okay guys, so today's lesson, similar to yesterday but actually quite different. So classifying triangles by their angle. So yesterday was classifying it by the side length, today is by the angle. So first of all, you guys have all heard of the word angle in terms of like a rectangle or a triangle. But we're going to be talking about angles a little more specifically. So first of all, the definition of angle, the amount of turning between 2 lines. So if that doesn't make sense, if you draw a line, and then if you draw another line that meets up with that line at the one of the ends, like this, so that point where the 2 lines meet is actually, there's a name for it, it's called the vertex. That's not too important to know, but it's called a vertex. Now the amount of turning between 2 lines, so if you have these 2 lines, the space between them, so sometimes you'll see like a little kind of half circle here or something in between them. That little space there is known as the angle that's between those 2 lines. Okay, so you might have, again, if I draw a line and I have another line meet it like that, so this is where the 2 lines meet, so this distance is an angle. So angles are always measured, you can measure angles, they're always measured in degrees, and we'll talk about that more next. But so this would be a certain number of degrees, this would be a certain number of degrees. So angle is kind of that distance between 2 lines. Okay, so moving specifically to triangles, as we talked about before, a triangle has three angles. Okay, so there's 3 angles. And just what I kind of mean by that is if you draw any triangle, so if the triangle has 3 lines, and where all the lines meet, there's a certain number of where the turning between the 2 lines. So this would be an angle, this would be an angle, and that would be an angle. So every triangle has 3 angles. And not too important to know this, but it's an interesting fact. All angles add up to 180 degrees. Now for some of you that might be a totally new thing, but we'll learn a little bit more about the measurement of angles. But just for now, when we start learning about angles, all angles in a triangle will always add up to 180 degrees. So again, not super important for us in this unit, but just something to kind of keep in mind for future stuff in math. Okay, so this is important now. There's a couple of important types of angles that we're going to talk about. So first of all, this is the one we've kind of talked about a little bit before. If you have a line and it meets another line like this, and if you see this is the distance between the 2 lines right here. So sometimes it kind of looks like a little box almost. So this type of angle is called a right angle. And a right angle is always measured at exactly 90 degrees. Okay, so basically, just keep in mind, right angle. So anything. So just quick example would be like in a rectangle or a square, all of these angles in here would be right angles because they all are 90 degree angles. So all the angles are 90 degrees in a rectangle or square. Okay, so anything less than a right angle, so again, let's say I have a line here. When I mean less, is if this line goes down closer to the other line, anything less, so let's say right here. Oh, it's Spencer's. Okay. So anything less than 90 degrees, so anything from 0 degrees to 89 degrees is referred to as an acute angle. Okay, so basically an acute angle less than 90 degrees. So less than 90. Okay, and then the last important one to know is if you have 2 lines that meet and it's bigger than 90, so that turn, like if you have this line, that'd be 90. If it's more than 90, the turn between the 2 lines, then it's called an obtuse angle. Let's leave it like that for now. Obtuse angle, and that's more than 90, or more than a right angle, basically. Okay, so I'll review this again on the next page so it's a little bit more neat for you guys to see. Okay, so just to review our 3 important types of angles, this is something you can refer to, write down if you need to. Like a 3-1. So acute, less than 90 degrees, so looks like this, less than a right angle. If you want a way to remember it, like think of a cute baby. Okay, so this will be our last little part of this lesson, really the most important part though. So today when you do your assignment or on a test or a quiz, these are the 3 types of triangles that are classified by the type of angles you see in them. So the first type is an acute triangle. So an acute triangle, all angles less than 90 degrees. So all angles less than 90 degrees, all 3 angles. And I'll give it an example on the next board here. I do a right angle, one angle one angle is 90 degrees. So only one of the angles has to be a 90-degree angle. That makes it a right triangle, or sometimes people call it a right angle triangle. And then on a obtuse angle, a triangle that has one obtuse angle. So one angle bigger than 90. Okay, so that's how you classify each of the three types of triangles by their angles. So an acute triangle, all angles are less than 90. Right triangle, one angle is exactly 90. Obtuse triangle, one obtuse angle. Okay, so just to finish up, just an example of each. So an acute triangle, you might have a triangle that looks like this. And if you would see, because in this case you won't have to measure, but let's say you'd see, they would have, this would be a 60-degree angle, this would be 60 degrees, this would be 60 degrees. So these angles here would be all 60 degrees. So they're all less than 90, so therefore it's an acute triangle. They don't all necessarily have to be the same measurement, but they're all less than 90. So like one could be 70, one could be 50, one could be 60. If they're all less than 90, it makes it an acute. For the right triangle, let's say you have something like this, and you see this little square, which also means it's 90 degrees. So one angle is 90, so therefore it's a right angle triangle, even just one angle. Okay, and finally an obtuse triangle, draw a picture over here. So let's say you have a triangle that looks like that. This angle, I'm just going to give it an angle here, let's say it's 110 degrees. So if you would see a triangle and you'd see that one of the angles is greater than 90, okay, so automatically you're like, okay, well I know it's an obtuse triangle. So you might have to take some time to memorize these, but these are just examples of what they could be. So acute, all less than 90, right angle, one right angle in the triangle, and an obtuse triangle has to have one angle greater than 90.